will end in fire. Some say ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I know enough of hate to say that it would be so bad with fire, but ice will suffice. That's Robert Frost. And I mangled it a little bit, but that's the way it goes when you're old and gray. So we're here today, wow, on one special anniversary. I have a gentleman here, who's got the real inside story on the history of the Peace Corps in the United States, and right up to the present moment as well, with exciting news that he'll share. So I'm going to sit down, welcome my guest, Bill Neal. Thank you so much for this idea.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. Way to go, Bill.
So this is actually Peace Corps Week. Once a year, the Peace Corps has a kind of promotional special week, and we thought it would be a good time to meet. And we have just a little film of the moment when supposedly candidate John Kennedy conceived the idea of Peace Corps at 1 in the morning at University of Michigan. And I think we have that clip.
He challenged the assembled students to work for the United States, and then he mentioned the fact that it was getting quite late and all should go to bed.
How many of you who are going to be doctors are willing to spend your days in Ghana, technicians or engineers? How many of you are willing to work in the foreign service and spend your lives traveling around the world? On your willingness to do that, not merely to serve 1 year or 2 years in the service, but on your willingness to contribute part of your life to this country, I think will depend the answer whether a free society can compete. I think it can, and I think Americans are willing to contribute, but the effort must be far greater than we've ever made in the past. And therefore I'm delighted to come to Michigan, this university, because unless we have those resources in this school, unless you comprehend the nature of what is being asked of you, this country can't possibly move through the next 10 years in a period of relative strength.
Wow. Wow, that's vintage.
So, yeah, there's vintage quality too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's, I think, a week or two before the election in 1960. It's about 2 in the morning, and he just made it to the University of Michigan, and supposedly he just kind of brainstormed that idea right there. And by 1961, he had handed it over to Sergeant Shriver, and there was Peace Corps volunteers in a number of countries by then. I think Ghana was the very first one, and there was people overseas by that time. And now it's in over 60 countries. Volunteers work in education, agriculture, public health. It's a lot more technical than it was. So when it first started out, it was mostly just teaching English. So it's changed a lot, and one of the things that the sort of last objective of Peace Corps volunteers is to bring the world back home. So that's kind of what the purpose of this is. So I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Tunisia. That's a little Arab country between Libya and Algeria, which was in the news for the beginning of the Arab Spring. And it's actually always, it's I'd say been closer to a democracy most of the time than a lot of other places, and less totalitarian, but it's on going the other way right now. And what I did was, well, actually the city where I lived in, which we have a little slide, is Kairouan, which is, they consider it a holy city in North Africa, and it's actually a medieval mud brick city. And a lot of people that remember the movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was used as Old Cairo. And there's a slide of me sitting in the cafe about 100 meters from my apartment where I learned to speak Arabic. And in the film, it's where Indiana Jones is speaking to the, I think it's a French guy.
I think it's the French guy.
That's trying to steal his, or get ahead of him getting to the Ark. And Indiana reaches for his gun, and every person in the cafe pulls a knife on him. But that's actually where I learned to speak Arabic, which was before the movie.
Unforgettable scene.
Yeah, and it's just fun. And so it's a very beautiful old city. What our job was, we rebuilt rural water wells. So we would pump them dry, send people down into them to dig out the muck at the bottom, which was usually unhealthy muck. And then we'd fill them full of, or charge them with enough chlorine and, I'm remembering the Arab word and not the English word, but basically limestone, until they were disinfected.
What's the Arab word?
Jir.
Jir.
Yeah.
The roll of the R, huh?
Yeah.
In Arabic?
Yep. That's all around the Mediterranean. They roll the R's like that.
Ah.
That's my
That's
opinion.
easy to remember.
Yeah.
Roll the R.
Yeah. So then we would cap the well off, build a sidewalk around it so water wouldn't get back down into it. We built and we installed a motor pump and built a cistern. And basically that was to stop the waterborne disease cycle. Because if you have a 30-meter well and a rope going down and a donkey pulls the rope out, donkeys do what they do, and then the rope falls on the ground and goes back into the well. And so you have the cycle of waterborne diseases, which we luckily almost don't need to even think about those kind of public health things in the United States.
But still there, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
All over the world.
All over the
So
world.
just little preventive things that we can do with water help make people healthier. And as an experiment, there's another slide of me helping people pull a concrete slab. As an experiment, we had a well that had a history of cholera, and we worked up a thing where if a local dug a pit, we would give them a slab that had a Turkish toilet formed into it to cover over the pit, and then if they built the walls of a latrine, we'd give them a metal roof. And so, again, to stop the cycle of waterborne diseases, we tried to get a number of the people in this little village to build latrines and use them. And then we also had a public health team that was all women, because really men don't go into houses and talk to women, but women kind of run things, really.
Yeah.
And so
Exclusively in the house.
If the women got the idea that latrines were a good thing to use, it would be the cycle. So that was a bit of an experiment, and CARE went on to do more of it.
And that's a young you.
Yeah, with hair.
With hair. And the same physiognomy of your son.
Oh, yeah, we look very
Yeah,
similar.
this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Recognizing your son from those pictures, and that
Well, with with no hot water in Tunisia, and when I ran out of razor blades, the razor blades there were kind of like a piece of broken glass, and the water was cold, and so almost all the guys grew a beard by Thanksgiving.
Got it.
Just because it was so uncomfortable to shave.
Beautiful pic. This is just terrific to show what it was like.
Yeah.
And the flora and fauna, you know, the
Yeah, that's all
cactus.
prickly pear cactus.
prickly pear.
And,
Same thing in Haiti.
People would eat them. Actually, one of the ways I helped teach myself to learn Arabic was every night I would go to the vegetable market, and in the corner of the vegetable market there were two merchants that sold vegetables, and I worked with them to not sell me anything unless I could pronounce it. So I learned all the vegetables from these two guys, and then it was always a chance to converse, and they appreciated that the American was trying to learn Arabic, and that made them all the more helpful, and they would criticize my pronunciation, and it was half an hour a night just chatting with these two guys, buying tomatoes and onions and whatnot.
You know, that's universal. It just completely melts the ice between people and just breaks any barriers to communication. And just to attempt to say somebody else's language is just so essential.
Yeah, it makes people want to help you, and that's the way. You really need to hear multiple people say the same thing, because everybody pronounces it a little differently, and the teachers almost enunciate too much. If you only copy the teachers, you sort of sound like a canned record. But
Or maybe British English.
yeah.
So say a little Arabic for us that you recall. Practical stuff like the food, the
Atini tomatum. Give me 2 tomatoes.
atini tomatum.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, well, actually, one of the things we did, the Tunisian language book for the Peace Corps volunteers, I always remember the second lesson was the American guy meets an Arab girl on the beach, and they agree to meet later in the bar. And I said, if Peace Corps is in Tunisia for 100 years, that's never going to happen. But what I need is,
Yeah.
Ya Muhammad Atini Sabella was cementum. So, hey Muhammad, give me a bucket full of cement. That's what I needed, because we were building wells, so we didn't really need to know how to try and get a date.
Or we're not drinking alcohol at night.
Yeah, so it
culturally.
was. So we did much more of that, and wrote down, take the ladder over and bring a hammer up to, Frank, and those were things we had to be able to navigate. So we had the people that did it help us.
Big learning curve, though.
Yeah, but they correct you. People got the idea, and they appreciated that we tried.
And that's the key.
That's
the core
right.
of relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Another story I had was we were at the wedding of a son of a truck driver, and the idiom that we had learned as a thing to say at a wedding, like a congratulations, was Inshallah Barsha Loled. So Inshallah, you can hear the Allah in there. It's with the will of God, you'll have lots of kids. So that was the idiom. And our truck driver Bashir corrected me, and he said, my son's going to be more modern, having worked with you guys, and maybe he won't have lots of kids. And so I switched it and said, Inshallah loled kimat heb. So it would be, God willing, you have exactly as many children as you want. And so it was kind of Bashir reminding me that things were changing in Tunisia and not necessarily go with the oldest idiom.
Not culturally bound. Yeah.
Well, things, even good old Bashir knew that things were changing.
Well, Arab Spring.
Yeah. Well, that was 40 years before the Arab Spring, or 15, 25 years anyway.
But
30.
it's true, as the Russians say, один вперед, два назад. One forward and two back.
I would wish for two forward and one back.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Anyway, that was, some of the stories from Tunisia. I was there from 76 to 78, and it was a long enough time after the 73 war that was less in the news, and it was before the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah.
So it was in Tunisia, in Tunis, almost no women wore any kind of veil or head covering. In all of Tunisia, nobody wore the full veil like the chadors. The Tunisian women in the countryside, like in my holy city, it was just a white covering that was kind of like a sheet, but it wasn't. Some women would hold it in their teeth, but it really was way less than we see nowadays. So
Way less.
even in Kairouan, which was kind of a conservative holy city, it was less. It's changed. It's gotten more fundamental.
Across the world, Arab world?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Much more than it was.
Wow, that's a perspective I didn't realize.
Yeah. And it's it's kind of like bell bottoms were in then, and then straight legs, and then tight jeans. It's things. Cultures change, and
Or analogous to Christian nationalism and Christian fundamentalism.
any kind of fundamentalism is
Any kind,
comes and goes,
Yeah.
and we don't. In the snapshot, you see it as the snapshot, but it's not always been that way.
Which foods did you love to eat?
The Tunisian national dish is couscous,
Yeah.
which is across North Africa. Well, really, so the Maghreb, that's the word for west. It's also the word that's where the word Morocco comes from.
Okay.
And Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco are considered the Maghreb region, and they all do couscous. It's interesting because the spices change. In Tunisia, is very a lot of hot pepper, which the word for spicy is har, right? Which I'm losing my ability to roll the R's. But
The second half of horror. Horror. It's horribly hot.
yeah, well, it's the standard Tunisian is really hot for us. Even more so than, or at least as much as standard Mexican. But then Algeria is much more, it was part of France, and it's much less spicy. And then Morocco's a different mix of spices. A lot of cumin, and anyway, but Haitian, so, and in Arabic, the word for meat is assumed to be lamb, so lamb couscous is the standard.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be beef, they specifically say beef couscous, because what they consider good meat is lamb, not beef. So just a little note on cuisine. I'm trying to think of Tunisia's. It was. In a way, they don't have the resource curse of some of the oil-rich countries. They have a little bit of oil, but in order to do development, they've had to much more concentrate on developing their own industries. So the diesel motors that we installed in the wells were made as a one-cylinder. It's a German design, but made in Tunisia. So it was all made in Tunisia. I think the pumps were assembled in Tunisia, so they had a attitude towards industry where they would try to develop internal industries and get economic development that way, as opposed to just spend oil money. So I think they had about enough oil to supply their use, but not so much that the presidents were building giant yachts and stuff.
And those palaces, yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of most of my story about Tunisia. It's kind of the biggest. I think we come away, Peace Corps volunteers come away with at least as much value themselves as they give away. And I think what we do is not so much we bring some expertise, but I think mostly what we bring is the lack of fatalism, and okay, it rained, some things, the road washed out, so we'll get it done next week instead of this week, as opposed to saying, oh well. And I mean, that's kind of the exchange is we learn about cultures, and we kind of don't we don't question that we won't get it done.
Exactly.
So it's
a can-do
exchange.
American culture. Yeah, always.
And some of that. So after I was in Tunisia, I was hired by CARE to work in Haiti, and I worked there for 3 years. CARE had a project of building 100 rural preschools in parallel with a World Bank project to build elementary schools. And what CARE brought to it was kind of a preschool attitude, because the kids, maybe they might have had no parents that ever used a pencil. No ancestors. So, I mean, they just had to start with real basics. The same way preschool here is, hold your crayon, start drawing ABCs, just sit through the class. The little preschool things that we have in preschool here are the same everywhere. Kids have to be a little bit socialized to cooperate with the class.
Yes.
And so CARE had developed a curriculum for that and trained teachers, and was providing food to all the schools anyway, the whole school, not just the preschools. But they also coordinated with a vaccination program. But my job was strictly to get the schools built.
Construction.
Yeah, with cooperation. So I did a lot of logistics, purchasing, and working with people.
What town?
Almost any place you could get with a car. So I was based in Port-au-Prince, which is the capital. Probably almost 40% of the schools were in the Artibonite Valley, and then a lot in the north. And then where you were in Jeremy, we had about 5 down in Jeremy, all the way to Astano.
5 in Jeremy.
Well, not in the town, but
surrounding.
around.
Yeah, because up in the hills.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good to know. We're going to take a short break, and I've got several questions to ask you on a more personal side too, just to alert you of, well, Peace Corps volunteers are free to travel outside the country if you get a little R&R time, right?
You
And
get a
we'll,
vacation.
we'll talk about that, like, gee, from Tunisia, where did you go? Or from Haiti, where did you go? You know, that's interesting to me because actually the Peace Corps is still alive and kicking and well, you know, and we'll get to that in a minute too. So thank you for so far, just a taste, feel, touch, you know, you're bringing us there. Thank you, Bill.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
We'll be back in 3 minutes or 4.
Thanks.
We're back, and we're not going anywhere. Oh, Anne-Marie
Oh, Frank.
Lepard, you are the very best. And the reason you're here is because when we talked earlier, you were almost a Peace Corps volunteer.
Could still happen.
No.
Nothing's ruled out. Nothing's
Oh, I
ruled
love that
out.
about you. It's a can-do. You see that? The spirit of young American enterprise, excitement, go abroad. Yeah, I felt it 65 years ago. I just never followed up on it, you know? So, what would you do if you did?
Well, it came about because I was graduating college, wanted to figure out something to do, felt nervous kind of jumping into my career, but yet here we are, not so nervous anymore.
I guess.
And I just kind of was looking at different options. I felt like giving back, and
Great.
we can tie this into the opportunity to travel as well, because that was something that intrigued me, is you do get some leave time to travel, and that's something super important to me.
Where did you go? From Tunisia.
From Tunisia, a friend of mine up in the mountains dropped me off on a back road into Algeria.
Oh.
And I thought I was going to hitchhike, but I walked about 5 miles. And
Across
then-
the border?
Yeah, and
Wow.
then I did a lot of different train, bus, a little hitchhiking through Algeria, and I took a bus basically way down into the halfway to Mali, two places called Lagouat and Gardaya, which are known for their oases, known for dates, but just for the sake of going there.
Really?
And then I went back up to the coast and to Morocco.
Wonderful. So these were dates that you eat, not
Yeah,
dates you had
correct.
with women.
Yeah,
And oh, it's coming back to me.
all of Morocco and
Indiana Jones in that movie. Bad date. Remember the monkey?
oh yeah.
Where would you go?
Well, I am into Africa.
Are you really?
I just think I love elephants. I've always loved elephants.
Beautiful.
Kind of the prime spot. I will end up traveling there at some point.
Oh, wonderful.
But I also speak French, so there are a lot of third world countries that speak French. Africa has its own parts that speak French.
Sure.
So somewhere that I could tie that in maybe. I was kind of open to different things and just seeing.
I can't believe you haven't been recruited. I mean, look at your abilities,
I don't
your
know.
interest, your zest for life, your excitement that you communicate. Oh, and he knows Creole, you know? And
He's
that was the
real in
thing with
French.
Haiti. You know French too, so
Yeah.
two of you can continue now in French, as I say.
It's been a while since.
comprendre.
Now we can talk about him. It's been a while since I've spoken French, probably like a year. So I need to
It'll come back.
keep practicing. Yes.
The only thing that comes to me is that wonderful rock song, not rock, you know, hip hop maybe, or what, you tell me. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Maybe not on public
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's a family show.
Can you
Family
beat-
show. Yeah, that's right.
But we
Fill it
also,
in, Frank.
we're also here to entertain. Okay? So, wow, Bill. I mean, everything you're saying is like, why didn't I do that?
It's, you know, life goes by.
Life goes
you make
by.
choices, and so it's actually, you know, I don't know if you want to do compare Haiti now.
We do.
Just a little thing I brought was Haiti. One of the sayings about religion in Haiti is it's 80% Catholic, 20% Protestant, and 100% Voodoo.
And that's true.
And this is a drum top art that they do in Haiti. That it's the goddess Agwe, which is kind of the goddess of the sea, which might be parallel to, even though Neptune is a male. This is like the goddess of the sea, Agwe.
Beautiful work. Just beautiful work.
You know, talking about French, basically the spirits in voodoo are what slaves managed to remember from Africa and bring them over to the Caribbean, and some of them morphed into new gods. So voodoo and Santeria and all the, I think it's Santeria in Brazil. So all those gods and goddesses are just kind of morphed gods and goddesses from West Africa, where the slaves were picked up. So it's not some awful thing. It's the natural religion of the people that's just changed based on what's happened to them.
And just a quick aside, our last show, young Phyllis Wheatley at 7 was captured by the slave traders, marched to the shore, put on a slave ship, but she brought those gods with her. You see? And as our show last week explained, that's the culture at age 7 she had already been fully alive to and brought with her. How wonderful that dovetails. Now, questions of danger. Were you in any danger hitching or traveling alone, crossing these borders? Were you safe then?
I mean, you can forget to look both ways and cross the street
Of
in
course.
Westbrook and get
Yeah.
run over. So
Or downtown Port-au-Prince?
yeah, there's always some danger. Right? I mean, Haiti's changed a lot. When I was there, the son of the dictator Papa Doc was in charge, and it was relatively peaceful as long as you didn't say anything against the president. You were left alone, and the crime was pretty low and extremely low for whites.
Yeah, extremely.
Crime against whites, because they're tourism, and there was a lot of kind of maquiladora industry there. People always remember that all the baseballs for like 40 years were sown in Haiti. So the government had an attitude of let's protect the economy and keep the crime down. So it's, there's always danger, and when I was on a train in Algeria and spoke Tunisian Arabic and had blonde hair, several soldiers, they were kind of kidding me, but they told me I was a Berber, which are it's a race that was there before the Arabs, and they live in the mountains now. And there's been some civil wars off and on between Algeria and the Berbers, and that they were just harassing me, giving me a hard time. Wasn't real danger, but you never know. There are people that get in trouble, but if you don't do anything but think about all the risks in life, you won't do anything.
Especially abroad.
Yeah.
But a question that's important, because the world has changed, as we discussed in the first half of the show. Just a quick aside, under Papa Doc, when I was in Haiti, 65, 66, and 67, zero crime. Because the next street over, people were hanging from the tree. Papa Doc was absolutely that much of a repressive autocrat, terrorist, and his son really. So 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. What about now?
Now is a mess. Basically.
Can we pull up the recent history which is going on in Jérémie, Haiti? Had you visited Jérémie?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Down on
the 5 schools, of course. Thank you. So, Jérémie, this past Sunday, February 18th, 24, once again in La Cité, where a new barrier was placed on the bridge. This is a small, sleepy town, had been, way, way, way outside of Port-au-Prince. I mean, getting there, first of all, would be a problem. So, at the extreme tip of the southern peninsula of Haiti, or is it the northern?
Southern.
Thank you.
If Haiti's shaped like this, it's down here.
There we go. Yeah, I'm backwards. Wrong way, Corrigan. Sorry. So sleepy, protected by its geography and the difficulty to get there. I don't recommend a Peace Corps, although I asked my 2 friends this weekend, what is the history of the Peace Corps in Jérémie? Fascinating to me, because I've been with 2 charitable organizations now. And here we go. Barriers in Jérémie this past week. And I talked to the president of the Haitian Health Foundation, Dr. Jeremiah Lowney, this weekend. We're all friends from 60s. And he said, no, at 88, Frank, I could never go back because the ransom, I'd be worth a pretty penny. They'd have to take a collection of the churches just to get me back, I mean, he's worth that much. And he's been there for 40 years. Whoa, so there's a clinic. I said, what do you do for security? He said, we have armed guards patrolling the perimeters of the health clinic. Things have changed, man. you know? And if you get to Jeremy and you see the conditions now, you realize what the difference between then, 65, when I first went there, it's giving me chills, you know, and now, it's horrible.
Basically, the social order has broken down.
Completely. So gang-run control has decimated civil society throughout the entire country. We're talking, what, 10 million people? 11? 12?
I don't know the population today.
You know, I remember it was 8. So it takes my breath away how much I've invested in my heart and soul in Haiti since 65. And look, gangs. Wow,
It's a mess.
it's a mess. Now, what about Tunisia now?
Well, during the Arab Spring, the last dictator was thrown out,
Yeah.
and they had democracy for a few years. And now the president has the current president, who I forget his name. He's basically shut down the democracy and shut down parliament and is ruling by fiat.
So let's jump on our magic carpet. Did you say a word about the carpet?
No, this carpet is a Kairouan Tunisia design.
Okay.
And what they do, one is woven. It's not a nap carpet, but it's what they do in Kairouan is divide the wool into 4 different colors, and never wash it, never bleach it, never dye it, and then weave with those 4 colors. And it's a distinctive way of doing it, and it retains the lanolin, so it's when you feel it, you can kind of feel a little bit of lanolin, like they put in hand cream, and it makes it. I was saying earlier that you could spill a glass of red wine on it and wipe it off, because the lanolin keeps it. So I wouldn't recommend it as a habit, but.
Oh, well, that's what I
Don't waste
brought
the-
for after the show. I was going to, in my sloppiness, I'm dropping wine, water. I'd be safe, right, with your
Yeah.
carpet. On this magic carpet, let's go quickly to Uganda. Why? Because your son is there.
Yeah.
He's in the Peace Corps now
Yep.
in Uganda.
I think we have a slide of him.
Wow.
So his project is a little bit, it's microfinance and agriculture. And so that's my son Will and one of the farmers. And then that's a Kenya-style beehive.
Oh.
So in his project, what they do is the farmer borrows $50 and gets 2 beehives. Then his neighbors loan him a couple of queens. And then after a year, when he can start to harvest the honey, he starts to pay back the $50. And so as of now, they're up to about 100 farmers with beehives. And what he tries to do is walk around out in the bush and see whose bees are thriving,
Yeah.
and whose bees are not thriving. And then rather than him tell him what to do, he tries to get the people with the bees not thriving to go visit the people with the bees thriving, so that they hear from their peer,
Yeah.
rather than hear from this white guy. Because the sense would be, he has all the tools in the world back home, and that's why he can do it, but it won't work for me. But if he goes to the neighbor and he can see they're having success, it's better than being told what to do.
Absolutely. And do you get that cultural training, that cultural sensitivity, in your training for Peace Corps?
Especially now.
Now, especially.
His training was almost 6 months in country.
Whoa.
And it's a lot of helping you figure out how to do stuff, and then breaking into agriculture and have multiple different projects, so they kind of train them in their special area and then train them in the general things. And language, he's in Uganda, and Uganda has probably 15 or 20 different languages, so they don't have all the volunteers together learning language because they're all using different ones. But English is very common, so it's kind of the language of commerce. Although there's kind of a common market of East Africa, and they're promoting Swahili because Tanzania and Kenya are kind of the biggest countries in them. So, and Uganda always used English, so they really didn't use Swahili. So it's kind of it's a kind of an issue, like what's better internationally, English or Swahili, whereas within that common market, Swahili is going to be more useful.
The lingua franca, right?
Yeah, Swahili is a kind of invented language from the Arab traders on the Indian Ocean.
Imagine.
A mix of Arabic and it's not a natural language of any sort of cultural group.
Does Uganda have elephants?
Yes.
Something to consider.
There you go.
And how about the security situation for your son right now?
It's good. Peace Corps, even more so than when I was there, Peace Corps really looks out for people. As you know, during COVID, they basically shut down the whole Peace Corps throughout the world. They brought everybody home.
Was that 2 years complete, or 3?
I forget the exact date.
About 3 years.
Will a year and a half ago, so what's it, 24, 23, halfway through 22, he's the first group to go back to Uganda.
Okay.
So 2022.
After the break.
Summer.
Okay.
Yeah, Peace Corps, they take care of you. People get medevaced. I mean, another thing they spend a lot of time in training is kind of the rules. We think about foreign countries and we think, oh, maybe terrorism and this and that, but the most deaths of Peace Corps volunteers are riding on the back of a moped in traffic and getting hit.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that's against the rules, is to ride on the back of a moped.
And dying from the infection may be that.
And lack of emergency services immediate.
Yeah. That was true of Haiti, and that's why Jerry is concerned about his own staff. They have staff down there in the clinic. So now, where else would you go in Africa that you know about?
I think it would depend where they need help. There's different countries. I mean, I know I personally definitely want to visit Kenya at some point. But then there's South African region, but I believe the French-speaking part is in northern.
Mostly west.
Yeah, west, north.
Senegal, Mali, Chad, Niger,
Senegal,
Ivory Coast.
Cool, yeah, the Ivory Coast. So I would be open to anything to research more.
And Kenya is next to Uganda?
No.
No.
Oh, so Kenya, yes. I thought we were talking about Senegal.
No,
sorry.
no.
Kenya is right next to Uganda. Uganda's inland, landlocked, and Kenya's on the coast.
Okay, great. So, what are you hearing from your son? You talk to him regularly?
Yeah, it's ironic because when I was in Peace Corps, a lettergram took about 2 weeks to get to my folks.
Wow.
And then if they took a week to answer, it would be 2 weeks back. So an answer to a question would be 5 weeks. And now we have WhatsApp. We text maybe a couple times a week, and we
video chat.
We not usually video because too much data. Well, we talk Sunday. Sunday at noon is 7 p.m. his time right now.
Oh, that works.
So we talk Sunday at noon on WhatsApp. We usually don't do video because it just won't carry the data. There's too many changes. But no, so he's very interested in his job. He's enjoying it.
He is loving it.
I mean, I think, for me, one of the benefit to the volunteer about Peace Corps is kind of self-awareness, the fact that you've accomplished something, you've been through that. It's lonely at first, when you can't speak the language.
Oh my goodness.
And you're long ways from home and new place. I mean, it's just long nights and stuff, but you get through that and then you say, gee, I can do anything. So there's kind of an advantage. It's like any kind of accomplishment that you do for yourself that, you gain confidence. A big thing that we bring back is, all cultures have the concept of the other. They're different.
They're different.
And really, I think what you learn in Peace Corps is they're just different. They're not bad or good. It's just different. Whereas I think it's real easy to say, because they're different, they're bad. But it's simply not true. It's just different. And everybody has a different way of doing things.
And underscore that because the world is right now having all those problems.
There's a lot of other issues in the world.
The others, but it's the other spices, other music, other language, other poetry. But what is the answer? The Peace Corps was a big answer.
It's an answer. I think it's good for people to see.
And is. It's a big answer now. I mean, your son married a Kenyan, right?
Yeah, Ugandan, yeah.
A Ugandan, right.
Yeah.
And that's his cross-cultural and his, and everything from food to music to the gods that, Phyllis Wheatley, the young slave girl at age 7 brought with her way back. And Papa Legba, the god in Haiti, the voodoo. I love that saying about the 100%. It's so true. So, it's worth posing the question. And I don't want to end early by any means because I have more to ask you. But I have to squeeze in this poem, which is somewhere. Next time. I'll do that poem next time. So, where does this leave you, Anne Marie?
Well, I'm still here for now, trying to pay off some student debt.
That's a big factor.
Yeah, I know the Peace Corps is supportive of that. You would be able to put your debt on hold. I'm not sure if you accrue any interest.
No,
but
it goes on hold with no interest.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you get what's called a readjustment allowance of about $10,000. So if you do the full 2 years, there's a readjustment allowance, and in the 2 years counts in the 10-year forgivable for public service.
Oh, okay.
So like for teachers, if you come back and work in a qualified school where you can get the debt forgiven after 10 years, the Peace Corps 2 years counts as public service.
See, more you know.
More you know.
But yeah, I think right now I'll see where the tides take me. I'm not ruling anything out.
But the fact that you'd consider, still consider,
Yeah, I
because of the
anything.
challenges you've been made aware of.
Yeah, there's obviously danger is a factor. There's different things, but
things.
I think
Health is a factor. Yeah.
I think I look at the bigger picture of it is
Good.
it's doing something for somebody else. It's going outside of my comfort zone and allowing me to experience something different than what I've been accustomed to know.
And as Bill says so well, when you break through that breakthrough after the loneliness and you believe in yourself as being there and contributing, and your son has gone through that, you know? I mean, it's a wonderful thing that you've shared with us between you and your son and the continuation of the Peace Corps, because, hey, what is it now? From 61, 62 to now?
Almost 60 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So we started with the clip of President John Kennedy and the ask not, you know, but the world needs that now, you know? Ask not what the world can do for you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for this show. It's just so alive with possibility and history and enjoyment. And come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be fun to Zoom with your son someday? Oh, wouldn't that be great if we could Zoom, you know, depending upon conditions. But you personally are being invited to come back to
Thank you for having me.
flesh this out, right? So, oh, thank you, Anne Marie. You're a good sport.
Of course, Frank.
Oh, really?
Anything for you.
Thanks. Wonderful show. Thank you so very much. It's a wrap, and we'll get that poem in next time.